When my car broke down, she rolled her eyes in front of strangers and said, "This is why I need a real man, not him." They chuckled. I just called a tow. That night, she found out she wasn't riding home with me. I, Ronan, 32, a senior data scientist, had been with Alara, 31, a corporate communications manager, for 6 years. We were not married but had lived together for 3 years. We resided in Austin, Texas. I loved the city for its burgeoning tech scene, but Alara only cared about its vibrant, high-energy social life. Our combined income was excellent, but Alara's constant pressure for extravagant purchases and trendy socializing made saving difficult. I made about $200,000, and Alara made about $100,000. We rented a modern townhouse in the South Congress area. Our lifestyle was defined by her demand for novelty and expensive experiences. We often ate at high-profile restaurants like foreign and domestic. Our friends were mostly Alara's fast-moving social network and her superficial professional peers. They constantly validated her belief that life should be easy, luxurious, and completely free of complex problems. I felt like the quiet, predictable safety net. I wanted to move into high-level, global data security and analysis. Alara wanted me to remain a stable, high-income local professional to fund her current lifestyle. My career was solid but focused on internal corporate data analysis. I was excellent at predicting trends, but I was ready for a jump into global intelligence. I wanted to apply my skills to high-stakes, international security analysis. I was quietly interviewing for executive roles that offered immense scope and global impact. Alara was openly dismissive of my professional drive. She often called global security paranoid nonsense and implied my technical focus made me predictable and boring. She valued my income but ridiculed my ambition for greater purpose. The opportunity that came through was a major career zenith. It was with a massive, prestigious international intelligence firm. The role was Chief Data and Risk Strategist, EMEA Operations. The location was Dublin, Ireland. This was a massive global move, a leap into the highest tier of my industry. The compensation package was exceptional. The base salary was $520,000 annually, with substantial tax advantages due to the firm's international structure. They included an immediate, substantial signing and relocation bonus of $100,000. The benefits included fully paid, luxury executive housing, private travel, and a guaranteed annual performance bonus of 40%. This was the opportunity that secured immense purpose, global influence, and undeniable financial power. I decided to present the offer to Alara over a weekend brunch. I was immensely proud of the offer. I thought the chief strategist title and the massive financial figures would finally quiet her criticism. "Alara, this is it. I got the offer. It's the chief strategist role." "It's global intelligence," I said, handing her the formal offer packet. She was scrolling through photos of a recent trip with her friends. She barely glanced up. "Another data entry job, Ronan, or does this one actually have a cool title I can tell people about?" she asked with an air of boredom. "It's Chief Data and Risk Strategist, EMEA Operations. With a major international intelligence firm. The location is Dublin." She scanned the salary, her eyes widened, but then her face hardened into cold disapproval. $520,000, that's an amazing number, but Dublin, Ronan, I can't move to a damp, cold city for your obsession with data security. My entire social circle is here. My life is here. I have to be able to host parties and be visible. I can't just throw that away for your nerd fantasy. This is an opportunity to shape global security strategy. You could consult internationally. We would be financially set for life very quickly. This is about real purpose and global impact. Purpose that makes you invisible and boring. My life is here. My fun is here. You expect me to throw away my successful life for your little mission. You're so typically focused on your spreadsheets. You always prioritize your logic over my happiness. Just say no, Ronan. I'm not going. She tossed the packet aside. Her contempt was absolute. She confirmed her priority. Her local, image-driven lifestyle was more important than my executive ambition or our long-term financial security. I was merely a predictable provider to fund her current reality. The final insult came that same afternoon. My older, reliable car broke down in the middle of a busy street near a large group of people. I was calmly calling a tow truck. Ilara rolled her eyes dramatically in front of the assembled strangers. She spoke loudly, addressing the crowd but looking straight at me. "This is why I need a real man, not him." The small crowd chuckled. I just finished calling the tow. I did not react. I had heard enough. That night, she found out she wasn't riding home with me. I was taking a cab straight to my lawyer. Update 1. I did not say no to the international intelligence firm. I accepted the offer immediately the next morning. I signed the contracts electronically and secured the massive relocation package. Her casual cruelty and public contempt would not be allowed to define my future. My plan began that very morning, executed with cold, rational precision. The following weeks were marked by extreme tension. I had not acknowledged her comment or the car breakdown. She assumed I was sulking. I tried to bring up the Dublin move, framing it as an imminent, necessary discussion. "The firm is providing executive housing in Dublin. We need to start the visa application process," I suggested one evening. "We are not starting anything, Ronan. I told you I'm not moving. You are trying to force me into a decision. Stop pressuring me. Focus on finding a replacement car for that trash heap that broke down," she replied quickly. "This is Chief Data and Risk Strategist. It's the pinnacle of my field. It's financial and intellectual freedom. It's a boring, complicated job in a boring, cold city. My friends agree. You need to focus on me and our life here. Stop using your job as an excuse to be self-centered." She repeated the dismissive lines often. They were designed to belittle my achievement and reinforce her control. Her friends quickly jumped in to mock me. At a birthday party, her friend Jordan, a publicist, cornered me. "So, Ronan, I hear you're still talking about ditching Austin for some gloomy data job in Ireland. Why, Ilara is right. You have a great life here," Jordan said, looking at me with undisguised pity. "It's Chief Data and Risk Strategist, Jordan. It's a massive global opportunity for our security," I explained calmly. "Global opportunity? You're trading fun for spreadsheets. Ilara is right. You need to focus on what matters, your family's current quality of life. You're just a typical boring data guy. You should listen to her." "I'm trading stagnation for immense generational wealth and global purpose. That's a better quality of life," I replied simply. I walked away. Their collective scorn only strengthened my resolve. They all shared the same superficial values. My preparation became meticulously secret. First, I secured my finances. I opened 2 new, separate accounts, a high-yield investment account in a private bank in Zurich and a dedicated equity fund. I changed the direct deposit instructions. I routed almost all of my paycheck, including the 100,000 signing bonus, into the new hidden accounts. I left only enough in our joint account to cover her share of the rent and minimal shared expenses. Ilara never checked account details. I created a precise list of all our joint assets and liabilities. Next came the logistics of the move. I spent my lunch breaks and evenings researching housing in Dublin. I found an excellent high-end executive apartment in the Ballsbridge area. It was fully furnished and paid for by the firm. I secured the lease entirely in my name. I used my vacation days for a quick trip to Dublin, claiming I was attending a required compliance seminar in New Jersey. I finalized all the paperwork. I started to separate our belongings slowly. I boxed up my extensive technical library, my research papers, and all my personal technical devices. I shipped the boxes directly to Dublin using the organization's moving allowance. I told Ilara I was donating old equipment to a university program. She barely glanced at the boxes. She was too focused on planning a massive trip to Chelum with her friends. I secured my visa, work permits, and all the required documentation. The firm's legal team handled it efficiently. I kept all the paperwork hidden. My focus was absolute. I was preparing for a complete, clean cut, prioritizing my future and my self-respect. I was no longer the not real man she mocked. The time for my departure arrived. I had filed the separation papers 2 days prior. I finished packing my final, small bag. I quietly changed the codes on the home's smart lock. I left the signed papers and a brief, emotionless note on her pillow. I took a taxi directly to the airport. I was already in the air, halfway to Dublin, when she finally woke up alone and found the note. I had traded her contempt for a massive, powerful future. Update 2. Ilara woke up to silence. My side of the bed was cold. The note was brief. It confirmed the termination of our relationship due to her sustained contempt and her public disrespect. It confirmed my immediate move to Dublin as Chief Data and Risk Strategist, EMEA Operations. It provided my lawyer's contact information. When she finally contacted my lawyer, the truth was laid out. It was a simple, factual letter confirming the termination of the relationship. It stated that all communication must cease. Her initial raging anger was directed at me. She called my work number, my personal cell, and old emails. "You're a manipulative coward, Ronan. You abandoned me and locked me out. I will make sure you lose that job. You will lose your license," she screamed on my voicemail. "That was a silly comment, Ronan. You are destroying our life over a car breaking down. You're just proving how pathetic and predictable you are," she shouted on another message. My lawyer sent a brief reply, confirming the finality of my decision and stating that all communication must cease. Then came the desperate bargaining. She promised to quit her job. She offered to move to Dublin immediately and find any work. She swore she would never talk to Jordan again. I forwarded them all to my lawyer. This was followed by a brief period of manipulative depression. She posted tearful photos on her social media, claiming I had suffered a breakdown and abandoned her for a strange, meaningless job. She sought massive sympathy. Finally, the spike of pure anger returned. She hired a top-tier family lawyer. She threatened asset claims for half my future salary. She claimed emotional damages. My lawyer, a specialist in high net worth, international separation, easily rebutted her claims. The lack of marriage and the pre-planned, clean separation of finances made her case weak. We settled quickly and definitively on my terms, a clean, immediate split of minimal joint assets. My moving day was quiet and efficient. I was already in Dublin. Ilara was reportedly staying with her friend Jordan. I felt an immense sense of peace and professional anticipation. The domestic prison was behind me. My new life in Dublin was intellectually stimulating. The city was structured, secure, and full of global professionals. My job as Chief Data and Risk Strategist was profound. I was managing complex data analysis for major global security operations. I felt respected and validated for my intellect. I started thriving immediately. I joined an international cycling group. I met diplomats and high-level professionals through my work. My work success was immense. Within 10 months, my team secured the firm a major contract extension based on my strategic modeling. The organization gave me a massive, unscheduled discretionary performance bonus. It was for $100,000. I used the funds, combined with my rapidly accumulating tax-advantaged salary, to purchase a beautiful, modern home outside Dublin in the quiet, prestigious town of Killiney. It was a tangible, future-proof victory. The lies Ilara had been spreading back home began to crumble. She was telling everyone that I was a struggling administrative analyst living in a terrible rented flat. She claimed I was miserable and begged her to return. "Ronan, I heard you were barely making ends meet in Ireland. Ilara said you were totally isolated," a former colleague texted. "She told my co-workers you took a massive pay cut and were depressed," Jordan texted. I ignored her friends entirely. I was polite but firm with her family, who were clearly hearing the true story. "Ronan, is it true you're the chief strategist? Ilara said you were working for a temporary non-profit data firm," her mother asked. "I am, ma'am, chief data and risk strategist. The organization is a major international firm. I am thriving." I decided to stop the lies permanently. I made a high-impact post on LinkedIn. It was a professional photo of me speaking at a major European risk management summit. My title, Chief Data and Risk Strategist, EMEA Operations, was clearly visible. I mentioned the global scale of our security work. The prestige, my salary, and the importance of the firm were undeniable. The reaction was explosive. My professional network was incredibly impressed. Her social circle was stunned. The flood of emails and texts was immense and immediate. Chief strategist. Ronan, Alara told us you were just doing IT support. We are so sorry we ever doubted you, an old data science friend wrote. I apologize, Ronan. We all believed her claims of your professional breakdown. You've done something truly amazing, Jordan, the friend, texted, clearly trying to reconnect. My family was universally proud. They validated my decision and expressed quiet anger at Alara's malicious deception. 6 months after the LinkedIn post, she showed up in person. She used her residual travel points to fly to Dublin. I was leaving my office complex. A hired black car pulled up. Alara stepped out. She looked impeccably dressed, but the anxiety was clear. Ronan, I had to see you. I saw your post. The house is stunning. I had no idea you were this successful, she said, rushing toward me. You didn't know because you chose to believe I was a failure. That was easier than respecting my intellect. You publicly stated you needed a real man. That lack of respect is why the relationship is over, I replied, my voice steady. I've changed, Ronan. I saw my mistake. I want to move in. I can start finding global communications clients. I'll be the supportive partner you always wanted. We can be a family again. You've changed. Did you change when you tried to take half my future salary? Did you change when you mocked my entire profession? You value my success. You do not value me. Your circumstances have become difficult. Mine have become exceptional. That is the only difference. She tried to insist she was genuine. I love you, Ronan. I miss us. You miss this, I said, looking at the security complex. You don't miss me. The separation is final. The answer is no. I rejected her firmly. She escalated legally immediately. Her lawyer sent letters claiming asset claims, all shut down logically by my lawyer. The post-separation acquisition of all high-value assets made her claims baseless. Exhausted, she launched a social media campaign. She posted long, emotional stories about my supposed cruelty. The campaign completely backfired. Mutual friends called her out. Even allies turned against her. 1 year later, I was thriving fully. My salary was now over $650,000 with bonuses. I had purchased a second investment apartment in Paris. My career was accelerating. I was in a stable, respectful relationship with Aoife, a brilliant corporate lawyer. Our relationship was based on shared intellectual curiosity and mutual respect. I received one final short message from Alara. It was a direct message on an old chat app. I was wrong, Ronan. I truly regret treating you like I did. I am so sorry I ruined everything. My reply was brief and final. It was all the closure she needed. I accept your apology, Alara. I wish you well. Final update. I was back in the United States for a high-level briefing to U.S. officials in Washington, D.C. My professional profile was immense. I received an unexpected text from Alara's father, Mr. Douglas. He asked if I could meet him and his wife, Mrs. Douglas, for a quiet discussion. I agreed to meet them at a secure corporate dining facility. I respected them greatly. We met, and they looked profoundly sad and regretful. They immediately addressed the issue. Ronan, we wanted to see you. We needed to apologize, not just for Alara, but for ourselves, Mr. Douglas said, his voice low and heavy. Sir, you don't need to apologize. I've found peace. I'm happy now, I replied. We do. We raised her to prioritize comfort, shallow social appearance, and an avoidance of all things difficult. We taught her that the aesthetic was more important than the intellectual, Mrs. Douglas continued, her eyes holding tears. We should have supported you, Ronan. We enabled her contempt. We are deeply sorry that we raised a daughter who could treat someone with your intellectual caliber so cruelly, especially in public. Mr. Douglas nodded slowly. She lost everything, her relationship, her financial security, her credibility, because she couldn't respect the man she was with. You showed her the absolute consequence of her vanity. We are truly ashamed of her public mockery. Their apology was sincere and heartfelt. It was the final, complete validation of my decision. It confirmed that the values I was ridiculed for, my analytical rigor, my focus on global purpose, my logical decision-making, were the correct foundation for a fulfilling life. I accepted their apology gracefully. I told them I held no resentment towards them. I wished Alara well and hoped she would find her path. I left the meeting feeling a deep, quiet sense of certainty and profound peace. My life now is a testament to the core lesson of this entire experience. Never tolerate a partner who publicly questions your manhood or your competence. Alara's betrayal and mockery were rooted in her own narcissism and her need to control the narrative. She wanted me to remain a simple, predictable provider so she could be the star of her social life. I learned that the only way to respond to that level of contempt is through decisive, quiet action. I did not argue. I did not plead my case. I simply executed my plan for success and self-respect. My escape was not an act of revenge, but an act of intellectual and personal reclamation. The revenge was simply the visible, undeniable difference between her stagnant life and my global, professional zenith. She lost everything, the wealth, the security, and the high-status life she craved, by calling me a not real man. I am not an emotional man, I am a rational man. I created a new life that is incredibly successful, profoundly meaningful, and grounded in mutual respect with Aoife. I am building a global security legacy. My career is at its peak. I am happy, I am peaceful, I am fulfilled. I built this life, I earned this life.